Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful event with the Virtual Tasting Society. I'm Jane Kilkenny, subbing for Vadim Ferlavsky, who's off working again this week. Tonight, we're joined by Cameron Campbell from Glengoyne Distillery, and we're all super excited to get going on the tasting. Um, Please remember to keep yourself on mute unless you have questions. Please shout them out, throw them in the chat. I'll try and translate as best we can so we get everybody's questions answered. Cameron, welcome. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about the distillery. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm using some sunglasses here uh, for their initial purpose in Scotland, which is to hold your hair back. We don't actually need to wear them on our eyes very often in Scotland, so I apologise for my DIY headband there. But yes, my name is Cameron Campbell. I am the North American brand ambassador for Ian MacLeod Distillers. Ian MacLeod Distillers were a fourth generation, family owned, independently run Scotch whisky company. Predominantly, we do have some gin as well. We currently have 6 distilleries. The furthest from Scotland is actually at the base of the Himalayas in India, but our 5 other distilleries are in Scotland. We have Edinburgh Gin in Edinburgh. We've got Glengoyne, beautiful Highland single malt. Tamdhu up in the northeast in Speyside. We've got Rosebank, which has fairly recently been reawoken from the dead in the lowlands of Scotland. And as of last week, we have opened Lagan Bay Distillery on Islay, which is distillery number 11 on the historic island of Islay, and Islay Distillery number 1 for Ian MacLeod Distillers. But today we're going to talk about Glengoyne, which is one of my first loves. I myself am generation 6 in my family to work in whisky, having actually directly come from 3 generations of women in whisky, but generation 6 in my family to be professional in whisky. And I completed the regional lottery by working for a lowland distillery. So we've now worked in every region in Scotland as a family. I am not one of the family members of Ian MacLeod Distillers, but I'm very, very proud to work for them, and I adore that they're a family company. Glengoyne has always been family owned for 193 years legally. That, of course, is a very important thing when talking about Scotch whisky, that it is legal. Our legal birthday was 1833, when George Connell, the local farmer who lived on site, he bought the license to distill for around £6, which is about $3,000 roughly, but well worth his money considering what we've ended up with. And what we have ended up with is a beautiful, light, fruity, approachable Highland single malt that we're going to taste some of now. So I believe the order is in the chat in terms of, yes, what we're going to drink through. So we're going to start with the Glengoyne White Oak, move on from there to our Glengoyne 12, then on to the Glengoyne 15, then to the 18, then to the 21, and then finishing almost literally with a bang on our Glengoyne cask strength. Before we jump into our first whisky, does anyone have any questions about Glengoyne as a distillery? Or are we ready to just get in amongst it?
I actually was kind of curious. It's all the promo stuff says you're like right on the border between the Highlands and the Lowlands.
We are.
I'm assuming that must really affect how you do things. So I'm just kind of curious if you get to do the best of both, or
until Lindores Abbey built their new distillery, we were the most southern Highland distillery. When they were creating whisky regions, as I'm sure many of you will know, they created them for the worst reason to make any region, which was tax. And they actually only created 2 regions, the Highlands and the Lowlands. And when trying to decide on a border, instead of just drawing a straight line across Scotland, they decided to follow a road. And that road would take you from Port Glasgow, southwest of Glasgow, to Dundee, which was another major port in the northeast of Scotland. The problem that Glengoyne has in terms of which region does it lie in is it lives on that road. It's about 12 feet on the Highland side of the road. For those of you like Jason who have been to Glengoyne, you might know that we actually only have one warehouse in the Highland region, as shown behind Jason. That's warehouse number 1. But warehouse 2 through 8 are on the other side of the road in the Lowland region. So we actually go to the trouble of taking our most precious stock and sending it all the way to the Lowlands to mature it. Of course, on the other side of the road. It does make us very unique. It does not affect the whisky. However, Glengoyne, if you go back in your history books, was always considered a Lowland whisky. And that was actually due to the style of which they distilled. Highland whisky was far superior in how it was distilled. It was light, it was fruity, it was approachable. Lowland whisky was nasty, nasty stuff. It was made by really pushing production very, very quickly. And the still shape was not the beautiful pot still shape that we're used to seeing. It looked more like a flying saucer. It was a long, long neck, and then very quickly out and back in again. And that made a very rough spirit. And when the Lowland whiskies realised that what they were making was not as good as the Highlands, they strived to make their whisky even fruitier, even lighter, more approachable than the premium Highland whisky. To combat that, what they would do is slow down their distillation. And so Glengoyne was famous for having one of, if not the slowest distillation in the entirety of Scotland. But we also have 3 stills. However, contrary to our Irish cousins and their beliefs, we do not distill 3 times. We'll distill for a first time in our wash still, and then we will split between 2 stills. That doubles copper contact, and it fights against heavy vapours coming through and starts to give you more time with copper and a lighter, fruitier whisky and a fruitier spirit. So although Glengoyne is not a Lowland, what we're actually striving for is what those old Lowland distilleries were, which is to try and make as light, fruity and approachable a spirit as possible. And for those of you who haven't already, if you nose the glass of your Glengoyne white oak, or indeed really any of the Glengoynes that we're going to taste today, you should instantly smell something like a crisp green apple. That's our house style at Glengoyne. If you look at the white oak, you'll notice it's light in colour. For those of you not familiar with what the Glengoyne white oak is, it's bottled at 48%, 96 proof, and it is fully matured for all of its life in first fill bourbon barrels, 100% American oak. Light natural colour, non-chill filtered. If we were going to write a poem in Scotch whisky to a bourbon drinker, this would be it. What do we smell? I've just seen Jason's wonderful comment about rolling a cask to the parking lot. Honey on the nose. Yes, definitely. Tropical fruits. I would totally agree. Yeah.
It reminds me of like mountain air. I don't know how or why, but like very fresh, clean air with like a wood shaving element to it.
Sure. So that wood shaving, that's that virgin American oak coming through. There is, although you get those tropical fruits, with the first sip of this dram, you do get a little white pepper and kind of spice on the back end, at least on the first sip. I will say it's dangerous stuff because the more you drink it, the smoother it gets. I'm seeing, yes, pineapple, tropical fruits. I would totally agree. Again, very derivative of American oak wood. Burnt vanilla. Yeah, that kind of caramelization. White pepper in the front of the palate. Totally. I've got my little pop-up. It's not quite as nice as your Glencairn. It's actually our Isle of Skye camping, little camping pop-up. I think you definitely get Glengoyne's kind of apples, bananas, pears, those light tropical, anything light tropical and orchard fruits. Now, we actually did a limited edition version of this that was 24 years old, and Rob Report very kindly called it Whiskey of the Year. But I'll let you into a little secret, and don't publish this recording. Don't give this to the press. I personally prefer the non-age stated one, which is what you've got in your glass. I like the life that it has. It's still quite punchy, quite viscous. The 24-year-old iteration, while arguably a better whiskey, or at least a more developed whiskey, doesn't have the same life that this does, and I adore it. Nice blended Irish. I could understand that. Yeah, that's that extra copper contact coming through. Vanilla icing, lemon, yeah, that sweet citrus. Tony, yep, my type of whiskey drinker. I've been through quite a few bottles of the White Oak. There are different types of whiskey that to me are like a dessert or a pudding. This is not a chocolate fudge cake. It's not a Black Forest Gateau. This is much more up the creme brulee. It's much more up the lemon meringue cheesecake varietal for me. But I think perfect summer whiskey. Yeah, beautiful. We actually serve this in the summertime. If any of you are taking the trip over to Glengoyne in the coming months, you'll be served this with fresh honey from our beehives next to our warehouses, ginger ale, and a squeeze of lemon. Henrik, August 7th. Henrik, I might see you there.
Awesome.
I
Yeah,
am actually,
we're doing a cruise and we have an overnight in Glasgow. So no cruise ship excursions. We're gonna come and visit Glengoyne. I'm happy to see some of the tours are now showing up as available as opposed to earlier in the year.
yeah. Well, I am going to be doing some of the higher end tours, as far as I know,
Nice.
in early July and then for the full month of August.
Nice.
It was important to me to not feel separate to the distillery.
Yeah.
Usually, I'm away every 2 weeks, and the only time I see the distillery staff is to pick up bottles. So I might well see you there.
Sounds good. Yeah. As far as I could tell on the website, you can sign up for multiple tours
You
in
can,
one day.
yeah,
So
as long as you're still standing on both legs.
yep. So
Certainly, the tour aspect will always be the same. However, Glengoyne is quite good that if you get two different guides, it will actually seem like a very, very different tour because they don't script their tours at all.
yeah, yeah.
They ask that you mention the distillation, you mention what type of casks we like to use, but they don't like to pin you down as to what you have to and have not to say. Yes,
Gotcha.
Magda she's just left, sadly. we're very sad to see her go, but she's kind of changing career path. But Magda was, yes, I know Magda very well. Fantastic. What do we think of the White Oak? Any finishing off thoughts? Anything we want to know about the White Oak?
I just love it. Like I said, I opened it up and like I looked at the bottle the next day and it's like half gone. And I'm like, well, that was good.
Yeah. What you could remember of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
When it came out, I went through 2 bottles in a month because everybody that comes to my house says, "What's new? What have you got?" And I said, "Oh, you need to try this." And they went, "Oh, Glengoyne, I've tried all your Glengoyne." And I said, "No, no, no. Glengoyne's never done anything like this, ever." And those bottles disappeared very quickly. And a lot of my friends are not huge whiskey drinkers, but it's yeah, it's a pleasing dram.
Yeah, I can see why you'd call this dangerous.
Very dangerous in a good
went-
way.
I only poured part of my sample and I'm like already eyeing the bottle going, but I want to go back to it.
Yep,
Make
it
myself
does
wait.
that. It gets a grip on people for sure.
It's pretty stunning. I like it.
So the White Oak was our first whiskey in a range that we're calling the Oak Masters series. When you have a spirit as decadent as Glengoyne, as delicate, you're able to play around with oak types that big, robust spirits wouldn't really work in. And so we released an all-American oak bourbon. That's pretty standard. But our second release was actually Glengoyne Mizunara oak, where we did 10 years in sherry and 6 years of a further maturation in virgin Japanese oak, Mizunara oak. That was a 16-year-old whiskey, but we really didn't focus on its age. What we focused on was the fact it was in Mizunara for 6 years. There may or may not be plans for another Oak Masters release this year, so do keep an eye out for it. It was sherry and Mizunara. Actually, the same recipe, the same cask composition as our 10-year-old Glengoyne that was then filled into Japanese Mizunara. A beautiful, beautiful whiskey. Sadly, extremely limited, but a beautiful whiskey nonetheless. And we're looking forward to continuing the Oak Masters. But what we're going to do now is go into our core range of Glengoyne. And we're going to move on to, in my opinion, quite possibly the crowd pleaser whiskey from the Scottish Highlands. And that is our Glengoyne 12-year-old. Has everyone got that? We've all got it either pre-poured or it's glugging away in a glass somewhere. So on the nose, you're going to feel a slight added depth that you maybe didn't get with the White Oak. Now, the White Oak is higher in alcohol, but it's 100% bourbon barrel matured. Our 12-year-old and indeed our 15-year-old are what other companies would call double cask or double oak. But it's not a finish. We don't actually do any finishes at Glengoyne until our recent Mizunara release. It is 12 years in bourbon, 12 years in sherry, and they're married together after that period of time to create a lovely, balanced, light, fruity, and approachable whiskey with our Glengoyne 12-year. Seeing as we're one whiskey deep, I'm not going to tell you what I knows. Toasted, creamy, like a creme brulee. Love it. Hopefully still getting that crisp green apple. Honey, butter, and floral like spring flowers. Yeah, love it.
I never
Hair
really
comes out.
green
Yeah.
apple. So I'm finding it entertaining to like search for green apple, even though I never really smell it. It's
So Glengoyne's green apple, the next time you taste an apple, you'll think of this conversation because of what I'm about to say. There's a big difference in flavour from the first bite of a green apple to once you've chewed it. Glengoyne doesn't taste like a chewed apple. It tastes like the first initial bite of a green apple. You actually get that more so in the nose, at least for me. But it's that initial, that first crunch, that light, crisp juice that you get initially on the palate. Certainly raisin, yeah, that apple skin waxiness, butter in the nose, yeah. So that dried fruit, that raisin, you'll be getting from the sherry casks that we're using there. We'll come on to how important they are as we get into our 18 and 21, certainly. But really what's important here for us, at least with our Glengoyne 12 and our 15, is getting the balance of the bourbon barrel and the sherry cask to work together with the spirit to create that kind of well-rounded palate and nose. Any other thoughts on the 12? Buttery, creamy, slides into very nice spicy floral, yeah, lovely. Smokiness on the nose, that's interesting. Here's a vanilla ice cream, love it. Did anyone drink Glengoyne in 2003? I know that's very specific. No? Maybe? Well, Glengoyne's motto in 2003 was never peat. No smoke. We've actually never used peat in 193 years. But what Glengoyne's light, fruity spirit style does when it goes into a sherry cask is it tricks you. Because the wood spice from the sherry cask to some palates can seem like it's smoky, and it isn't. That's just sherry cask. Vanilla ice cream. Yeah, if you're feeling very Scottish, this with, we do a crumbly fudge called tablet. Scottish ice cream with tablet inside it and a Glengoyne. If you can find tablet with ginger through it, which you can actually buy at the Glengoyne gift shop, Hendrik, when you go this summer. But that in ice cream with a Glengoyne 12, beautiful. Also, if you do want to visit our other independent bottling brand, Smokehead 15 on vanilla ice cream. Don't knock it until you try it. It's beautiful. Smoke and vanilla ice cream is worryingly good. Last one was a tasty failure. Tasty failure is actually, that's my bumper sticker. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, let's move on to the 15. Are we all ready? How are we all doing? Is the pace going all right for everyone? No one's getting lightheaded yet?
no, we're good.
Good. Let's move on.
We are what we call pros at this.
Oh yeah, much more than I. Good so far. Good. So let's move on to the Glengoyne 15. Now, the difference between the 12 and the 15 on paper doesn't actually sound that big. We've added 3 years. We've used bourbon casks. We've used sherry casks. But what we've changed here, apart from time, is we're using more first fill casks. That really adds a bit of punch in terms of the flavour. Although it's developed for 3 more years, using even 5-10% more first fill casks really comes across on the nose and on the palate. And it takes a lot of skill to make that decision. Our master blender's name is John Glass. He works alongside two other blenders called Emma and Jake. Emma actually does a lot of work on Glengoyne, but she started as a tour guide at Glengoyne about 10 years ago. And she, after a few years working at Glengoyne, went to an in-company tasting with the blender John Glass. And she gave such good tasting notes that they sent her a contract the next week. And she was trained up as a master blender, and she's now invaluable to Glengoyne as a blender of our whiskies. Finally getting apple Asian pear. Ooh, not just any pear, an Asian pear. I like it. Yeah, I like the specificity. Asian pear. We have a hard candy in Scotland called pear drops. Like a hard boiled candy called pear drops. I kind of get that with the 15. I don't know that I've ever ate an Asian pear, but we're not famous in Scotland for eating much fruit and veg, so you'll have to forgive me, but it's my culture. However, hard-boiled pear-flavoured candies, can we get those in the US? Maybe. This is more red apples. I could understand that. Yeah, there's a slight more robustness to the apple flavour here, and that's those first fill casks. Yeah, that's the difference. I would totally agree. It takes biotics. That's why I can nose it this time. Love it. Asian pear. I love it. I'm sure if you look hard enough, Ryan, you'll find pear drop candies. It's a very traditional way of, we still do hard boiled, what we would call hard boiled sweets, hard kind of rock candy. And I would imagine any good mom and pop handmade candy store should have some pear drops for sure. If they don't, go in and make a fuss. Although actually lemon sherbets, those sherbet lemons, I know you've got those here, the hard candy, which is lemon with sour sherbet. That's another favourite of ours in Scotland. Love that fruit expression of the 15. Nice pear, yeah, for sure. We describe the 15, interestingly, it's my favourite official tasting note of any of our whiskies at Glengoyne. We describe it as baked apple pie and vanilla. Now, if in your glass you can feel puff pastry, you need to wash your glass better. That's not what we mean. What we, of course, mean is baked or stewed apples, very, very sweet apples, cinnamon, and then butter for the pastry. That, along with vanilla, you can kind of get with a Glengoyne 15. But I do agree with the sentiment that it does maybe transfer to a red apple note here. It is still nutmeg, cinnamon, yeah. It is still bottled at 43% ABV. With everything at Glengoyne, it's non-chill filtered natural colour. And for those of you who haven't been to the distillery, you might not know, but it is completely non-automated and made by hand. So right now, as we speak, Thursday night, so we'll be in production. It is 3:36 in the morning in Scotland, and there will be two people sat in Glengoyne, desperately trying not to fall asleep, making whiskey by hand. You don't get that anymore. You just don't. There are only two screens in our production department, and they're both digital thermometers. And for those of you who have been to the distillery at Glengoyne, you'll know our high-tech measuring devices for how full our tanks are a counterweight, a long stick, and a Sharpie pen on a plank of wood. So we're really not high tech, but does anyone know? This is a really nerdy question. I'm testing you here. Does anyone know what yield a distillery is looking for from litres of spirit to per tonne of malted barley? That's a really, really nerdy question.
That is super nerdy, and I'm ashamed to say I don't actually know the answer.
So what you're looking for is from that malt in your mash tun, and eventually what you're really looking for is around about 410 to 420 litres from every ton of malted barley. What's interesting is Glengoyne, just using people, can get up to 420, 421 litres per tonne of malted barley by hand. There are automated sites that are happy to get 410. That's computers. That's computers. But what they can't train is what to look for and what you've been looking for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. They just don't know things that humans do with training and with time on the job. And there's no way for them to look for it. There's no digital device that can tell them, I think that wash still's going to boil over. I don't know why. I can see it. I can feel the heat. The condensation seems to be going a bit crazy in that wash still window. There's just things that computers can't pick up on that people can. And we're very proud to say that we do at Glengoyne. We've not had a production mishap in a long time, although things do happen. And that's probably down to the watchful eye of our distillery manager, Robbie Hughes. He's been at Glengoyne since 2003. He's worked at 28 distilleries, which is impressive for a man that's, how do I put it politely? He's only in his 50s. But that level of expertise is, in my opinion, it comes across in the taste, I think, or at least in the charm of the place. And what we're going to move on to now is a whiskey from Glengoyne that gave me, so far, maybe my second most religious experience with a whiskey. And that is our Glengoyne 18. Before we move on to that, any other thoughts on the 15?
I mean, the 15, which I mean, was just so much smoother than the 12, which was much smoother than the white oak. I mean, it's just been very, very good.
Well, let's hope we keep going that way, because it'll be a
Right?
real shame if you get to the 21 and hate it.
Yep.
So what we're moving on to now, I'm just going to get my sample because I think I do have some of this. Yes, I do. That's always exciting. What we're moving on to now is our Glengoyne 18. Now, this is extremely predominantly sherry, and we're sourcing our sherry casks from Jerez in the south of Spain. Custom built for us as a company for Glengoyne, Tamdhu, and the E. MacLeod portfolio. But the Glengoyne 18, I once drank in a pub in the north of Scotland that my friend runs. And he had closed down the pub, all the customers had left, and I was sat by the fireplace with the pub dog, and it started snowing outside. And I sat with this whiskey, and the dog had its head on my lap, and the fireplace was crackling away, and I put a really, really good dent in that bottle of whiskey. And the snow was going, and I just thought, yeah, this is what whiskey's about. This is it. Yeah. Whiskey's always, it's only as good as whoever you're spending it with. And me and little Hamish the dog were very happy to be spending it with each other, curled up by the fireplace. The only problem for me with the Glengoyne 18 is I can only taste one thing. With any whiskey that you really love, above everything else, what you'll taste is whatever your favourite thing to taste is. And my favourite thing in the world, if it was on death row, my dessert, my pudding, would be sticky toffee pudding. And that's the only note I get on a Glengoyne 18. I've tried to get other things, but I simply can't because it's all I want to taste in the Glengoyne 18. So please do me the favour of telling me what someone else gets, because all I can ever get is sticky toffee, and I'm okay with that. The 18 was your wife's favourite. Well, your wife's got good taste in my books. Not only does she love you, but she loves the Glengoyne 18. That's 2 for 2, Tony. She's doing well.
I'd say high vanilla sticky toffee. Sticky toffee. That's wonderful.
For sure.
Thank you for having me. Arrived a little bit late after work, but happy to be here.
No, you're more than welcome. Someone's got to do work at some point.
Indeed.
God knows I try my best not to.
Good for you.
There's sherry bombs, and then there's this, a sherry poke in the shoulder. I love that. Yeah, it's not an offence. It's not a crazy, my God, Hareth has just attacked my mouth. Sherry, raisin, caramel, vanilla cake, dark berries, love it. Milk chocolate, orange zest, totally agree with that. Milk chocolate, orange zest, a kind of chocolate covered orange with a clove somewhere in and among it. Yeah.
I'm getting like a deep, big balsamic jam. And I wish this was on solid form because I'd want to scoop it with some blue cheese and some brie. And I think it would be phenomenal.
Do you know, to me, the Glengoyne that gives you that fruit compote berry jam, sadly we're not tasting it today, is the 30. That 30 is every red fruit, every one of them. It's like if you left Little Red Riding Hood's basket of red fruits in a warehouse for 30 years. So I can totally get that development from a Glengoyne there. Musk melon balls. I won't ask about that, Jason. That's your musky melon balls is your business, but it sounds good to me. Hard cider, cocoa nibs. I did a tasting last night and they said they got cocoa nibs on the 18. Werther's candies. Yeah, that butterscotch kind of candy. Yeah, that's a special whiskey. I would actually go as far to say in the Highlands of Scotland, you would be hard done trying to find too many other Highland 18-year-olds that are what this is. It's in a small bunch, this.
Hey, Cameron, is this also a fully matured ex-bourbon and fully matured sherry?
So it's
No,
not, it's predominantly, and I mean ridiculously predominantly, sherry matured with a handful of exceptional bourbon casks that we got the flavour from and said, actually, we would be idiots if we didn't add this now to the 18. The 18 was always only sherry. And it wasn't until we started the White Oak project where we said, maybe we'll age Glengoyne and bourbon a little bit longer and see how it does. And Robbie, along with the team, Greg in the warehouse, they had a look at some allegedly older than 18 white oak stock, and they said actually what this would do to the 18-year-old would just round it out beautifully. And so this past year we added just a small amount of bourbon barrels into the 18's composition, but it is still predominantly sherry. Yeah. Great question. Any other thoughts, questions, feelings? Cocoa nibs, a little hint, very tasty. That's what we like to hear. Dark chocolate dipped orange rind. Love that. Guys, these are great tasting notes. Some peach. Oh, lovely. Yeah, there's still an orchard fruit quality here, which is good. That means it means our master blenders are doing their job. 18 years in a sherry cask, you can often lose the distillery character and just let the cask take over. So I'm glad to hear there's still some of those orchard fruit notes coming through.
I would say Glengoyne keeps its distillery flavor more than most any other whiskey I've tried.
I would agree, Matt. And to be honest with you, as much as that is to do with our master blenders, I would really put it in your minds actually that Robbie Hughes, the distillery manager, is a serious reason for that. Robbie is quite strict on this is what Glengoyne is. And when we get to the point where we're tasting whiskies, if that's not coming across, Robbie doesn't sign his name on that bottle. At the end of the day, although really your master blender's name should be signed on the bottle along with the distillery manager, it's only one name on that bottle that isn't Glengoyne, and that name is Robbie Hughes. And Robbie really makes sure that he's signing off on something that tells that stays true to the character of Glengoyne. So I'm glad that that's being picked up on.
Yeah, I'd agree with Matt. I think the character of the distillery is there on everything so far. Even though the 18 does have lots of sherry on top of it, that backbone is still there. It's quite discernible.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad that's not just me. Plenty of sherry bombs, hard to compete with more sherry, but your character is unique. Love it. So we're now going to move on to our Glengoyne 21. While you're getting that in your glass, I'd love to tell you a little bit more about Glengoyne's history. We're born in 1833 legally with George Connell, that farmer who paid for the license to legally distill. But since him, including us, there's only ever been 4 other owners. In 193 years, we've always been owned by family-run companies or indeed families. And it's something that we're very proud to continue with. That sentiment that Glengoyne is really people-based. Oh, blueberry muffin. I love that. Is that for the 18 or the 21, Jacob?
Or are you just eating muffins?
21.
Yeah.
I like it. What else do we get on the nose of the 21? Blueberry. Yeah. I actually love that. Congratulations to Jacob and Jane. You're the first 2 people to have ever told me blueberry for the Glengoyne 21. And actually, I know what you mean.
Yeah. I get blueberry, strawberry, and honey off the nose.
Ooh,
Almost like something you're about ready to dump on a shortcake.
Sounds good to me. I would dump this in a shortcake. It would turn into a very expensive shortcake, but I'm not against it.
That wouldn't suck at all.
No. Ryan's loving it. Ryan's never agreed more. 4 exclamation. No, is that 4 or 5? 4 exclamation marks. Ryan is buzzing about the idea of pouring this on everything he eats from now until 2060.
It's like
Sunday morning pancakes.
So
Sunday,
good.
so good. Sunday morning pancakes. I love that.
Touch of molasses.
Yeah.
Mm.
I love that. Well integrated old mustiness. Yeah, totally. That musk, I would say from 21 upwards at Glengoyne, you, in the most pleasant way, you almost taste the dunnage. You almost taste the warehouse, just a tiny bit in there. Not woody, which is a different character, but that kind of musk. Raspberry pancakes with some molasses. Love it. Yeah, kind of marmalade on pancakes. Drop scone with malt syrup. Love it. Yeah. So our Glengoyne 21 for the longest time, we have described as like Christmas cake in a glass. And what we mean by that is dried fruits, like a Jamaica cake or a fruit loaf. So all of this is right up our alley. Huckleberries. I like that.
Maybe loganberries a little bit.
Interestingly, at this point, we would say it's now red apple in style, quite distinctly, as opposed to our typical green apples, which up until now you can get in one way or another. Baking spice, cinnamon, ginger, love it. Sloe berries, red apple, great. Yeah, totally. If I read that on the back of a menu and beside it said Glengoyne 21, I wouldn't disagree with any of those. Totally. The most syrupy by far, yeah, but still very light. I would totally agree. 21 years in predominantly European oak sherry. There is some American oak sherry casks in the 21 as well. But as I'm sure you all know, sherry casks release a heck of a lot of oil. That's why the viscosity goes up when you're using lots of European oak sherry. And so that finish, simply due to how much oil is in there, coating the inside of your cheeks and your tongue, giving you that long finish. Lovely, deep, rich flavour. It's a beautiful whiskey. This is a hug in a glass. Lick the glass clean. There we go. I think if any of our Glengoynes was comfortable chair whiskey, this would be the one that makes you soak into your favourite seat in the house. Any other thoughts on our Glengoyne 21?
I would break my budget rule for this bottle.
What's your budget rule?
100.
Wow. I would break it for this too.
This is the sort of whiskey that if you were a kid, you'd put it on layaway. Like you want to save up for this one. This is an absolute winner.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a special dram. It really is. Every time I taste it, I think the same thing. And as I'm sure you can all imagine, I've put in my fair share of work tasting the Glengoyne 21. So are we ready to finish at least the tasting in terms of whiskey in mouth with a bit of a bang here? Deafening silence. I can see some thumbs up. So we're going to finish on our Glengoyne cask strength. Now, this is 121 proof, 60.5% alcohol. We're not lowballing you here. Now, a lot of cask strength whiskies, whether you like it or not, when you add water, they dissipate. They just don't feel the same. I promise you, the Glengoyne cask strength batch 11 that's in your glass is a 2-for-1 deal. It is one complete whiskey. On the nose, on the taste, neat, no water. And if you add water, it feels like a completely different whiskey. And I would encourage you to try it both ways. Caramel for sure on the nose. Totally agree.
Hey everybody, it's that time. I'm back on camera if you're not on. Before we get to the point where we all have drained this glass because it smells like Christmas. Everybody raise your glass to the camera. Cameron, thank you so much. We're not done yet, but I just want to do this before I forget and we don't get to it. So everybody smile at your camera. Thank you. Hopefully everybody's eyes are open. Ooh, I did it. Not bad. Okay. Great. Continue.
Do you know what batch this is for the cask strength?
Batch 11.
11, thank you.
Unless Mike decided to send you an old batch, but I don't think he did. Now, interestingly for me, I get some of those tropical fruits creeping back in here on the cask strength, especially after adding some water. I don't know if anyone else completely disagrees. Tony did, he left. He said, no tropical fruits.
Yeah, absolutely. Little pineapple, little mango. And I love the mouthfeel on this one. It's thicker than the others. It coats. Yeah. I mean, the 21 is okay. It's the best. Fine. 21 aside, it coat 21's. You drink that with your brother, but if he appreciates good Scotch, mine does. But this it coats your mouth so well. I had a question about this. Is there a difference between this cask strength now, or what's the difference between this cask strength now and this cask strength 10, 15 years ago? Because I've been drinking this one for about 15 years.
Yeah.
And it's always been amazing.
Cask composition.
Sure.
We're using more bourbon barrels than we ever have in our cask strengths. The cask strength is a celebration of different types of casks. So we use bourbon barrel, we use American oak sherry, we use European oak sherry. So really everything that we have in our arsenal gets married together for the cask strength. Yeah, it's a great. I've always been a big fan of Glengoyne cask strength. But that's the biggest change batch to batch is what composition of bourbon to American oak sherry to European oak sherry. How many of each do we use? That's really where you get the big difference.
Excellent.
How many cask strengths do you release a year? I just looked and I have batch 4. Wow. It depends on how quickly we go through it, to be quite honest with you. It was one a year at one point. Some markets get, old stock and things like that. Stock does get juggled when you're on a batch product. But yes, it does get moved around. butterscotch, toffee swirls, cream layer, lots of spice. Mouthfeel is waxy. Yep, totally. The mouth feeling on this is superb.
I mean, this one's just stunning.
Yeah, it's a beauty.
So beautiful.
And it doesn't break your rule.
No.
It's at $99. 99 and 99. You can keep the scent.
You know, I was looking because I bought this after the first time we did a tasting, which was like October 2020. So 6 years ago, which by the way, at the time, the 21 was $165. So I should have got that also. But this was seven. It's the only one I bought. And I have no regrets. I think, you know, I'm more of a high proof bourbon guy, and I said it at the time that this is like such a bourbon drinker's single malt. It's like without trying to be bourbon, it's not. It just like the caramel, the like punch in the face a little bit. That, you know, you get a little hug. It's pretty fantastic. I have no regrets about buying it last time, and yeah, stand by it.
I'm glad to hear that, Jordan.
You
Very
have
glad to hear
about not buying more of them.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I was buying Glengoyne in the days where we were on teapot batch number 1. And that's a distillery exclusive, Scottish exclusive. Boy, do I wish I had bought one every time it came out. But yeah, I know your pain. We did a legacy series as well, which was some fantastic whiskey. And I only ever got batch 2 and 3. There was a 3-part series, and I wish I'd bought the first one, but I didn't.
I have 2 and 3 sitting in my collection right now. I bought 2 bottles of 1. It's glorious.
I adored batch 3s, especially, or batch 3, legacy 3, chapter 3. That's it. Chapter's the word. I love chapter 3. What's my favorite pour?
Come on, Cameron, pick your favorite child.
The next one. Always the worst whiskey's the last one you had, and the best whiskey's the next one you have.
That's very Scottish.
I'm going to say the 18. Batch 8 of the teapot. Batch 8 of the teapot was fantastic. We still talk about that batch. Awesome. I'm excited to see what everyone's favourite was, but I have a funny feeling I can predict it.
Sometimes we're very predictable, and sometimes we are so off the wall, it's hard to say. A couple of people still haven't voted, so I'll give you a couple more minutes before I lock you out.
Well, while we're waiting on the votes to come in, does anyone have any questions about Glengoyne, about E. MacLeod, about me, about whiskey, about what I'm going to do for dinner?
I have a question. Is E. MacLeod doing any side projects for us whiskey snobs?
What do you mean?
Oh, I don't know, independent bottling, any little projects he's participated in, something he's blending with a friend. I like to refer to it as bathtub whiskey because I grew up shining with my family, and we created whiskey in the bathtub, so to speak, in the South. It was not good, but it did the job. But something that you know, it's a heart project, something he loves.
Yeah, so important to note, Ian MacLeod's dead.
No, I get that, but back in the day.
Ian MacLeod, he was the original blender of the Isle of Skye blended Scotch, which is our blend. And actually, our 25-year-old Isle of Skye just won World's Best Blended Scotch. Certainly interesting stuff for whiskey snobs is probably that we reopened Rosebank in the Lowlands, triple distilled, one of only 2 distilleries fully triple distilled. So that's an interesting one. But interesting stuff that you can access in the US. The Isle of Skye range is ever expanding. Matt, I noticed you had a little bit of flare and smoke around you there.
Yep.
On your side of things. Isle of Skye have released a cigar reserve whiskey.
Oh, good one.
Tamdhu have got the cigar malt. But we're doing some fun stuff with Isle of Skye at the moment.
Okay.
Certainly more specific to Glengoyne, the Oakmaster series is going to be that whiskey nerd thing. That is going to be oak types you don't always see from a distillery that's very, very happy to look into that type of stuff. So definitely keep an eye there. What other whiskey nerd stuff have we been working on that I can actually tell you about?
Or things you can't tell us about. We'll keep it secret.
I do have a pause button.
I'm excited about Rosebank chatting with Neil Bullock. Yeah, nice. Wait till recording stops. Certainly, us starting Lagan Bay on Islay is going to be an interesting development. We reopened Rosebank and started producing in 2023.
Wow.
That was very interesting. But I think we'll get a new Lagan Bay, which we started last week, before we get a Rosebank. Just because of what type of whiskey we're trying to make at each site. Sorry, I've seen a few more things.
So when you say Lagan Bay started a couple weeks ago, started producing, meaning we have to wait 4 years to see what happens there?
Yes, sir. We filled our first cask a week and a half ago.
Nice. And is it going to be like Islay peat?
Typical Islay. We're not going heavy peat. We're not going no peat. We are probably looking at in and around 40 ppm. Yeah, we are making our Islay. We're not trying to do anything that anyone else is doing. We're just focusing on making the best possible Islay that we can make, and an Islay that we are proud to make.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Glengoyne. Scottish oak. Is that a part of the wood series? Doesn't say on the bottle. Not sure where I got this one. Yeah, so Glengoyne historically always worked with Scottish oak. So it might be an old stock Glengoyne Scottish oak. If it's the old logo and not our kind of big goose, Jason, then it might well be that. I don't know what bottle it is specifically that you have, but we did historically always work with Scottish oak. Scottish oak, by the way, for those of you that don't know, is an absolute nightmare.
There's the see if I can get it.
Oh yes, that's the old Glengoyne Scottish oak. That was an old faithful. Yeah, I mean, never say never. You know, we might work with Scottish oak again. Certainly, doing an Oak Masters type of thing, it would make sense to go back to our roots and use some Scottish oak. So, who knows? Certainly, after using Mizunara, which is also an awful wood to work with, we maybe are.
Everything's easy after Mizunara.
Well, Scottish oak is just as bad, to be quite honest with you. It's very, very brittle. It doesn't actually want to be in the shape of a cask, ever. And it leaks. Like me, Scottish oak is tough to work with. Any duty-free special releases? Yes, so our duty-free range, we've got a 12-year-old first fill edition. We have a 15-year-old Glengoyne finished in PX. Actually, is it a finish? We might have swapped it to not be a finish. There is definitely PX sherry involved. It's a great dram. Party at Jason's house, yes, please. And we do also have Glengoyne 20. How old is the current travel retail? You're testing me there. I think it's a 26-year-old currently, which is available. That's our travel retail range. from Glengoyne. The 15 is a heck of a dram. I love that. I actually really like Glengoyne and PX. I personally would love to see Glengoyne in a port cask, but no plan on that at the moment. I'm really pulling for it though. Just know if any of you are fans of a port pipe, I'm really trying, guys. I'm vouching for it.
Definitely keep my eyes out for that one.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. I know, actually, that's a lie. We filled port pipes recently, but that means it won't exist for a long time. And it'll probably be a distillery exclusive or something. But I would love to see Glengoyne port cask. Maybe not as a core range, but as just something, a fun little extra.
Are there any variant or specialty casks planned in the very near future for release?
We are looking at ways of working in terms of single cask and legislation in America, and how to get that in, etc. But not officially. It is something we've explored. It is an idea we're aware that there's want for, but at the moment, there's no logistical rollout plan on that, sadly. But it is something we're thinking about. And we have been asking folks like yourself, is that something you're interested in, etc. But at the moment, the kind of special release type of thing that we're focused on is Oak Masters.
Sounds awesome. Before I forget, do you want to take a guess on what the favorite of the night was?
I'm going to guess 21.
Ta-da! You would be correct.
Yeah.
So we got...
Wow, the cask strength did very well.
Yeah. So we're a lot of votes for 21, followed by Cask, followed by 18, followed by White Oak, and Brendan said he couldn't get the poll to work for him, so he would have picked the 15. So,
oh wow,
almost everything got a vote, but the 21 took it.
That's all right. I'll allow that. The 21's, it's not bad, eh?
The winner.
Yeah. Very cool stuff.
I have one more question.
Sure.
What would you consider would be sort of a corollary, sort of a horizontal move, lateral move to Glengoyne? Let's say you love Glengoyne, case in point, this guy. What do you recommend from a Scotch lover's point of view when it comes to, I love Glengoyne, I'm going to like something else that's Glengoyne adjacent?
I would say you've got to try Tamdhu because I'm a company man. But out with our company, which I assume is really the question you're asking. If you haven't properly explored the work of Glenfarclas,
oh yeah,
and you like your big sherried whiskies, Glenfarclas produce some lovely stuff. Their high proof stuff is also very good, which I know you were a fan of our cask strength.
Yep.
The work that Lalique, again, a different company, unrelated to us. Lalique are actually a bespoke glass making company that own a bunch of vineyards. But they also, as of about 15 years ago, purchased the oldest legal distillery in Scotland, Glen Turret. Their whiskey is really, really nice. I was there 2 weeks ago. No, actually less than that. I was there 10 days ago at their distillery. We got a private tour of that, and their whiskey's lovely. If you like your sherried whiskey, it's a beautiful, beautiful distillery. Follows the same ethos of Glengoyne. They make actually less than us. They are upping their production to 400,000 litres, which is very small, but beautiful whiskey. And then certainly, if I'm gonna go back to our brand, apologies that I didn't wear my Glengoyne shirt, but I actually spilled something on it today. But certainly Tamdhu, if you like your sherried whiskies, beautiful, beautiful, really genuinely beautiful whiskey. So look at Tamdhu's and out with our company. I would really. Glenfarclas they're good friends of ours. And
I've been to their tasting room. That's the old ship.
Yes, yeah, indeed. Yeah, they took the inside of a ballroom, dinner room, not
Yeah,
ballroom, a dinner
ship that
room
was
on.
assembled. Yeah, I was there one time when they were. There was a New Zealand fellow who just loved Scotch, and he was there as sort of the tour master, and he was just like, "What do you want to try?" I'm not sure if he got in trouble or not. I don't think he did, but it was about 10 years ago, and he was like, "Go for it." And we got the family casks from like 1950 on up. It's madness. It was great.
Yeah, they're 5 generations of the same family that have owned the distillery since 1865, I want to say.
Wow.
The distillery was born 1830, late 1830s, 1836, I think they were. And it's been in the same hands for nearly all of its life.
Wow.
But beautiful whiskey. But certainly, yeah, try the Tamdhu if you've not properly explored that.
Thank you. And you mentioned Lilac.
Lalique, yeah.
Would you mind typing that out? 'Cause I tried and I failed on my little, you know.
Yeah, I do not have a clue how it's spelt, mate.
I will find out. I will spend more time. I will
I'm
waste
going
more
to
time.
assume it's like
Happily.
that. Yeah, it might be an A, Lalique. That looks right.
Oh, that's very different than how I spelled it. Thank you.
They make a lot of the custom decanters for the very, very high-end bottles. They make some beautiful glass and crystal decanters.
Lalique. Very good. I remember McAllen talking about this now. Okay.
Yeah, Lalique has made some of their decanters in the past.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any weird and wonderful things?
Well,
Any?
as someone who's planning on visiting, what would you recommend for tours, plural, to
Sure,
do on the same day? I mean, I'm thinking the blenders and then the rare tasting.
sure. So the
But
fine and rare tasting, yeah, I mean that's a great one to do. The Malt Master, you create your own 20 cl bottle of Glengoyne, so it's one of one. You pick from 5 cask samples, and you blend your own Glengoyne, which is phenomenal. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good day if you do that, and then the fine and rare tasting.
yeah,
You drink 5 single cask samples, you make your own bottle, and then you go and try Glengoyne 24, Glengoyne 25, Glengoyne 30, and usually we'll sprinkle in maybe something else.
yeah.
But yeah, you can't really go wrong with any of the tours at Glengoyne. Even their regular tour and tasting is fantastic. There's a
Yeah.
picture of Jason doing hard, either working hard or hardly working there. Jason, I can't tell which one it is.
Probably both. Probably both.
Well, you were working hard to start with, and after the tasting, you were hardly working, eh?
Yeah, that was a fantastic experience. The Magda was great on the tour. And what kind of stunk, it was super early in the season, so there weren't a lot of people booking, and it was just me. And I would have loved to have more people in the blending room while I was doing that to bounce
Yeah,
things off of.
it's good
Right.
fun. If
Yeah.
you get the right person doing your malt master, they make you come up with names for your bottles, and in a big group, that's always fun. I think the last time I did it, I called it the teeny weeny high proof machine.
Well
So
done. Well done.
yeah, because it was a 20 cl bottle, and somehow I think I managed to average an ABV of like 58%. So yeah, actually that little bottle packed a punch.
Nice.
Any other thoughts, feelings, questions?
Sorry for all the questions. Any good pairing for food from
Dark chocolate always works well.
Okay.
The bitterness of a dark chocolate with the sweetness and lightness of a Glengoyne is good.
Winner.
I have been known to use some of our fruity Glengoynes to make some apple-based desserts of various varieties. But if you're eating with, dark chocolate it does work. That would probably be my personal recommendation, although I don't do a huge amount of food pairings just personally.
I'm going to show off a little bit, and I had a Glengoyne tin that I blended in a jam, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I could get behind that. I've done more food pairings with our Smokehead, which is our independent Islay. Yeah, I mean, a buddy of mine made a rub for smoking with our rum cask finish that was unreal. And our chief, one of our chief Smokehead guys, Michael Brown, while he was in Italy, a nonna made him risotto using one of our Smokeheads, where she was just dumping it in there, and he still claims it's the best food he's ever had in his life.
I need better friends.
Or an Italian nonna.
There you go.
Yeah, we've done Grand Marnier in our homemade fig jam before.
Yeah, I've put Scotch in marmalade. I made all the whiskey orange marmalade last year. I haven't killed all of it, but I still have some left. I'm like trying not to eat it all.
Or sell some of it to me.
Yeah.
Glorious.
That sounds fantastic.
Good thing about cooking whiskey-based foods is it's always a good time.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you taste as you go.
One for the pot, one for the cook, one for one for the cook.
And then it becomes one for the cook, one for the cook, one for the cook, one for the cook.
1, 2, 3 for me, 1, 2, 3 for you three. There we go.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay, well, I want to be mindful of your time since I know you're traveling.
Oh, you're quite all right. It's if I was in Scotland, it would be much worse.
Yeah, definitely would be worse. But well,
where are you? I'm sorry, I arrived late. Do you mind me asking where are you at nowadays?
I'm in San Francisco right now.
Oh, you're on my time. I'm in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but
yeah, well, that's fair.
But although actually, maybe I'm glad to hear that because I'm a lifelong Giants fan, and we've won the past 2 games against the Dodgers, which I did not see coming, considering we've had a terrible start to our season. So, yeah. But don't worry, I won't hold the LA part against you.
Fair enough. Do y'all have any? Do y'all have any tastings come up or any coming up in LA, or I guess in general, because there are people in other parts of the world here?
Sure. So,
yeah,
I am attending Fog City this weekend in San Francisco, Mosen. Yeah. LA is a difficult one. We do a lot of tastings, classroom events in Total Wine and More.
Sure.
But unfortunately, in the California state, you're not allowed to taste in stores. So all of our tastings will be off premise. The best way to kind of keep up with that is follow me, follow the E. McLeod Instagram, that type of thing.
Very good.
That would be your best way to hear about it. Come to Total Wine in Florida. Tony, I'm coming to Total Wine in Florida in June.
Oh, wow. Go Florida.
Yeah, the World Cup is Scotland are playing the World Cup for the first time since 1998.
Yeah,
and we do have a match. We have a match in Florida. Sadly, not Pensacola. I will be Miami. Total Wine in Atlanta. Brandon is a mixed bag, sadly, but we do events in and around there once or twice a year. One of my colleagues, Ben, he works the Atlanta market, so we are there. Minnesota, Jason, you'll be shocked to hear I actually have done events in Minnesota. It does come up.
That is awesome.
Actually, last year, Minnesota was probably the best pint of Guinness I had in the entirety of America. So Minnesota, you might see us, if not this year, maybe early next year.
Tam O'Shanter loves tastings here in LA, by the way.
Sure. Yeah, I have. Its reputation precedes it.
You really need to come to Pensacola. Great, great Total Wine store.
I'm not against it, Tony. I'm not against it. I will say, Ben, thank you so much. Sorry, I just saw that message come through. I will say, Ben, my colleague, he's based out in Florida. He lives up in Tampa.
Okay.
So if anyone has visited Pensacola, it's probably Ben. But don't let that put you off. If anything, go and say hello and tell him how much better at it he is.
Yeah, Glengoyne has never done a taste or a premiere event at Total Wines here, to my knowledge.
Interesting. Well, if you keep an eye out, because in case it'll come up as Ian MacLeod Distillers or Gems of Scotland when we're in Total Wine. But yeah, we might well be looking at it, Tony. That might be why we've not made it there yet. There might be plans.
I hope so.
I'll make sure to say, listen, Tony says we're missing out. And they'll say, well, if Tony says it, we better get up there.
Thank you, Carmen.
Yeah, no, you're very...
You mentioned Glenfarclas, and I could not get rid of the bottle. I loved it so much. I made it into a decoration.
Glenfarclas 30. What a whiskey.
Oh, it was glorious. Can't get it anymore.
Yeah, it's that's a special one.
Yeah.
Anybody else got one last question before we let Cameron go?
When are we doing a Tamdu tasting?
I'm gonna leave here, go to Total Wine, and buy a Tamdu. That's my job.
Great.
Sounds a good plan, Matt. Well, we'll have to mention that to Vadim and see if we can get a Tamdu going.
Yeah, we can definitely. It's definitely something. And to that one, I will wear a Glengoyne shirt.
There you go.
There it is. Mixing it up.
No, we can definitely look into doing that for sure. We don't mind that at all.
Thank you, Cameron. This was very, very good tonight.
Really amazing. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you enjoyed the lineup.
Thank you so much, Cameron. We're always happy to have you with us and look forward to having you back again.
Have a great event this weekend. I wish I could be there. But
well, I hope to see you all in person at an event at some point. I do spend lots and lots of time on your side of the pond, much to my mortgage's dismay. But
you got a lot of friends on the West Coast here. You got a lot of friends in LA. So
yeah, clearly you've not met my enemies, but I'm glad to hear it. If you want to know about upcoming events, someone did ask for my Instagram. It's been posted very kindly by Jane there. I have started really updating what is going on there in terms of events as of this year, just to make sure people know what is going on. So feel free to follow along. You can, of course, that does give you a direct line of contact to me. So if any questions were not answered tonight, or you didn't want to ask, how did we add the apples to the Glengoyne 12? Then feel free to fire over any questions, any thoughts, feelings, hatred, or love to my inbox. But yeah, no, thank you so much. And hopefully we'll do a Tamdu one. We would love to do that. And quite possibly we could maybe look at a smokehead one further down the line.
Oh yeah.
That would be great.
Being a peathead, I'm all over that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we could give you a little school of smoke, we call it. Yeah, we'll maybe look at that for the future.
Can I trouble you, since I arrived a little bit late, to drop in your Instagram again? It does not show me past
Yeah,
text.
yeah.
I just put it in a couple of comments
Oh,
back.
you are a scholar as usual. Thank you so much.
Oops, sorry, that did not copy that I wanted.
That's all right.
Let's delete
And
that.
easy to find.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thank you.
Cask,
Thank you all
Thank you
so
all
much
so
for
much.
joining
Much,
us. Thank you, Cameron.
Have a great event. Thank you so much for your time. I really
Have a
appreciate you
great
taking
night, guys and girls and everyone else. And for those of you who are coming to the event, say to me that you were on this.
Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely stop by the booth and say hey to Cameron while you're up there.
I'll try and
Bye,
pour you
Cameron.
something that you didn't have tonight.
See you
Thank
at
you,
Fox.
Cameron. Amazing. Thank you so much.
See
Wow.
you later.
Cheers.
Slanja.
Sláinte mhath.
Gotcha.